Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to Empty Cloud Monastery. So I'm Bhante Suddhaso, and I'm here with Bhante Sumitta, so our beloved elder. We were recently in Italy for 1 month, so sharing the Dhamma in various places throughout the country. So it was suggested that this evening the two of us speak a bit about our experiences with sharing Dhamma in Italy. So we can start with paying homage to the Buddha, and then we'll offer some thoughts. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang dhammang sanghang namassami. So maybe we could invite Bhante Sumitta, if you'd like to start with sharing some thoughts after our time in Italy.
I think it was my first trip to Europe, and also, of course, to Italy. And a month trip to Italy was completely a wholesome experience from the very beginning to the end. I think in Amalfi course we all had a little bit of a hiccup because we all got sick. That was like a welcome. But I think it was so wonderful to meditate on the beach over there, and also really so refreshing to have the hikes in Amalfi Coast. We had 2 hikes over there, and then in other places also we had lot of experiences in meeting people who were interested in Buddhism, especially when we were walking for alms round. We noticed that the Italian people were very, very generous and really, really friendly, and they were very comfortable with the Buddhist monks, um, from the little children to young people, and also the middle-aged and elderly, everyone. All those people, they were very comfortable with Buddhist monks, and they wanted to talk to us. They wanted to, this showed their gratitude. Some people were very, very happy that we were in their cities. And yeah, I think those practices, those meditations and walks, arms rounds in particular, they were really memorable. And also, actually, Italy was a really beautiful country, lots of mountains, and a lot of greenery, and a lot of coastal areas too, and then also very clean cities. I was very impressed in many of the cities. We could sit anywhere, very clean, and that was really impressive. And one of the most touching things that I always remember is that the water is free. Drinking water is free all over the country, and there were trails that people could walk, and only people could walk and no motor vehicles. That also is really, really impressive. I felt very happy that we could walk without any worry about the like pollution. Really nice. Some of those things were really impressive. Plus the trains are really, really memorable. Very, very impressive. We had really good experience with the Italian train system, and the buses are also really good. I remember Bhante Suddhaso was saying that, oh, the bus is better than the plane, more comfortable. So I think these are some of the experiences we had, and we also met a lot of Thai people, Sri Lankan people, and local Italian people. Some of the people were following us in different locations. Means they wanted to meet us and learn the Dhamma in different areas. And also, I must say that when we went to some Catholic churches where they allowed us to live, spend some nights, they were so wonderful, very kind, very hospitable, and they never even asked for our identity or passport, anything, nothing. We just called and they said, okay, come. And they allowed us to stay in there. And they also hosted us, treated us very well and welcomed us. They also wanted to meet us, discuss. I remember in some one church we had a very nice discussion with the community. They introduced us to their community, and they asked many questions about Buddhism. Really wonderful, and really happy about the entire journey in Italy.
Thank you, Bhante. Yeah, so again, reflecting on the time that we had in Italy, what comes to mind for me is recognizing the time in history that we went. So although Buddhism has been relatively established in North America for quite some time, in Italy it's still relatively new. And the main reason for this is because there are very, very few Italian monks, so very few bhikkhus and bhikkhunis who are Italian by birth. There's very, very few bhikkhus and bhikkhunis who speak Italian. And only a handful of people who therefore are available to share the Dhamma in Italy. And there's a handful of lay teachers in Italy, but also not very many. There's a few Sri Lankan monks in Italy, which is of course delightful. It's always lovely to have monks of any tradition, of any origin. It's always nice to have them around. But what usually really makes the Dhamma accessible to people is when they have people from their same country with the same native language who can teach the Dhamma. And that's something which is simply almost completely unavailable in Italy. And these days, again, there's a few. There's, I think, 8 Italian bhikkhus in total, and 2 Italian bhikkhunis. So it's very, very few. Yet, this is a time when Catholicism is on the decline. Materialism is rising, and the result is that people are feeling. A lot of people are feeling disconnected, disillusioned. They're starting to experience some disenchantment, but mixed with a sense that there's something more to life. There's something more important, but not having any readily available answers. So these are ideal conditions for Dhamma practice. So when somebody starts off with already having some amount of disillusionment and disenchantment, then, well, that's great, because as the Buddha says, Bindang virajati viraga vimuchati. So disillusionment or disenchantment leads to dispassion, and dispassion leads to liberation. So disillusionment with samsara is one of these critical qualities of mind, which helps to support an effective Dhamma practice. And again, the sense that there is a value to spiritual practice. So one of the really wonderful things about Italy is that there's a deeply entrenched monastic culture. This is one of the things which makes it really dramatically different from the United States. The United States has very, very few monasteries of any tradition. There's very little general awareness of monks and the value of monasteries. It's mostly absent from American culture. But in Italy, it's something which has been very much integrated into the culture for more than 1,500 years. So since the time of the Roman Empire, there's been a widespread presence of Catholic monasteries, Catholic monastics in Italy. So this is something which people have already a deep sense of the value of, a deep sense of the value and importance of monastics and the benefits that monasteries bring to society, and the value of interacting with monks. So monks as being representatives of dedicated spiritual practice, of the pursuit of a higher knowledge, a higher wisdom. So all of this together makes it a very interesting time to be a Buddhist monk in Italy. And the ravenous hunger for Dhamma in the country of Italy is really remarkable. So everywhere we went, people were starving for Dhamma. Really, really interested in learning about the Buddha's teachings, the Buddhist practices. Really interested in learning about why we do what we do, what benefits it brings, and how they can integrate it into their own lives. And as Bhante Sumitta was mentioning, one of the remarkable things is that everywhere we went in the country, people were very warm, welcoming, friendly, and extremely generous. So very willing to offer food, housing, support to the Buddhist monks everywhere we went. So whether we were dealing with Catholics or atheists or quasi-Buddhists or ultra-spiritual, who knows what, or Hindus, we spent some time at a Hindu ashram for a few days. So regardless of people's backgrounds and religious identity or lack of religious identity, they were all very happy to support, to offer us food, especially food. We never had any shortage of food, lodging, medicine, whatever we needed. And this also is very encouraging because the basis of Buddhist practice is always starting with generosity. So when we talk about the development of Buddhist practice, one of the ways that we talk is starting with dana, so giving, practicing generosity. And that forms the basis for sila, so morality, wholesome habits of mind. So cultivating wholesome behaviors in everything that we do. And then that forms the basis for samadhi. So starting to train the mind in instability and unification, in focus. And that's the prerequisite for wisdom, for panya. So there's progression of dana, sila, samadhi, and panya. So recognizing that all throughout the country, people were already well established in the practice of dana, already have a deep appreciation for monastics, so already have a respect for the Sangha. So even people who don't really understand what the Buddhist Sangha is, there was already a respect for Sangha. So this is one thing where I have to say I have deep gratitude for all the Catholic monks who over, again, more than 1,500 years have worked so hard to establish in Italy a sense of respect for monastic communities, because that's then created the conditions for the Buddhist Sangha to be readily accepted, for the Buddhist Sangha to be appreciated. And similarly for the teachings on generosity, which have been instilled in the Italian people over, again, 1,500 years, 2,000 years. This is something which it's quite noticeable, it's quite tangible, especially for those of us who live on the generosity of others. You can really feel it. You can feel it when you walk through the towns and villages. Again, so we had some formal teaching occasions where we had been invited to Buddhist places or quasi-Buddhist places to teach. Also where we'd been invited to, again, a Hindu ashram to teach. We'd been invited to some Christian places to teach. So there were the formal teaching where people were already expecting Buddhist monks to come. But there were countless times when we would just be walking around. So walking through the towns or walking from village to village. And people would come up to us and they would ask questions. One of the most common questions was, can I have a photo with you? So we got that question very, very often. And the answer was almost always yes, because that's actually one way of sharing the Dhamma. One way of sharing the Dhamma is to let somebody take a photo with the Buddhist monks. And it's not to be underestimated, the power of this. Because then this person has a picture on their phone that reminds them of the Sangha. So they're practicing Sangha Anusati every time they pick up their phone. Much better than whatever it is people normally do when they pick up their phone. And many people would ask deeper questions. So asking about what our practices are, what our teachings are. Many people were just interested in supporting, in offering us some kind of assistance. So this was, again, one of the things that was really remarkable for me. So is there a few thoughts? Do you want to pick up the thread and talk a bit more?
Yeah, I think we were walking, we were also meditating. It's so beautiful to meditate on the beach in the Amalfi Coast, and people also would join us. Those days we were meditating at 6 a.m. and people would come and meditated with us. And then we were walking for Pindapata, arms round, and people were watching us actually. They were very inquisitive, very curious because we were walking as a group of monks. We had 3 Thai monks, and I think they also introduced so many. Through them, we learned, we met many Thai people, and then we had a lot of other people. And also, Italy is so full of tourists from all over the world. So we met so many people from around the world wherever we walked. It's really wonderful. I remember sometimes like, okay, now it is Pindapata time, and maybe if we don't get it, we will have to stay hunger. I remember Bhante Suddhaso saying, okay, if we don't get it, we don't get it. And then we were standing and we were surprised. We never had the problem of getting food. Like we were just standing and people were watching. They were curious at the beginning and they were watching us. And then they were like slowly coming to us, and some of them also wanted to give some money, and then we said no money, only food. And then they were very happy, so happy. It's heartwarming to see how those people responded, that we are actually waiting for food. And we had food like within half an hour or 1 hour. We got food like for a week time. So we had to actually donate the food, the extra food back to the local churches and the people. So that is why we felt like Italian people are very, very generous and very friendly. And that was one of the wonderful, wholesome qualities that we found in them. And then I remember, as Bhante mentioned, in ashram, Babaji ashram in Trullo. Is
Yeah, it
that
was in
Trullo?
Chulos. Yeah.
Yeah. So that city actually also is Sister Nino, right?
Mm.
One of the cleanest cities, I would say. So beautiful, so clean. So that city and Trullo itself is so amazing, and all the most of the structures in the village are like domes. They were like Buddhist stupas. I felt so ideal for a spiritual commune over there. And there were the Babaji ashram. They hosted us like for a few days, and we were sharing the Dhamma with the community, and a lot of people showed up. For a few days, we were sharing the Dhamma, and it's really really amazing because we were teaching the Dhamma under the trees. It's so beautiful. And I remember how the Buddha was teaching in Jivaka, Ambagro, and then also Sinsapa, and many other jungles, forests, where the Buddha was preaching, teaching the Dhamma to those. And I felt so happy about that. And I also noticed that these people were really serious about the Dhamma when we were talking about the Dhamma. But one thing that we learned, and if we don't know Italy, then we can do much. Because thanks to Ayasoma's strenuous work in translating whatever we said, so we could communicate with them, or else it would have been a nightmare for us in talking to them. So we learned quite a few Italian words as well in the process. I remember there was one Thai monk, Thamsutam. He learned only one word, but he used it so magically to communicate almost everyone. Like he's a Chao. He used only that word, and some people would like to talk to him, and then he said no Italiano.
Only ciao.
Only ciao. But he used it like so beautifully to communicate with many people, to greet people. And I noticed that how people also responded. Many of them responded very positively. They were very happy. Yes, and they wanted to have some Buddhist monks more and more. And they wanted to have actually us establish another place. They wanted us to be there more frequently so that they can learn. So I would like to say the whole. I remember like Ayasoma was asking me quite a few times, Bhante, what is your favorite place? What is your favorite? I would say like I don't have any. I can't say that because I felt like the whole package was so unique to me. So I really felt overwhelmed and really happy. And in Rome, it was completely a different experience. Again, we of course we had some Dhamma sharings in the park. So some people were like passing by people. They were very curious. They wanted to ask some questions, and they also showed up. And some other people from different places also joined us to learn the Dhamma. And yeah, so people in different places, especially the countryside, we didn't have to worry about the quality of the food because they were excessively organic and naturally organic and no chemicals. So it was very refreshing, and I think it's a really wonderful country for everyone to. I wonder why, so many people are there, because people are very friendly, and also the food is very good, and also the transportation is really good in the country. Um, So sharing Dhamma was really good. I also would like to mention about Santa Chittarama, one of the beautiful monasteries we visited in Italy, and also Sri Lankan temples. We had quite a few Sri Lankan temples who were hosting us. They were very kind. Sakamuni Vihara, and then Dharmaniketana, and also Bhante Piyadasi and Bhante Jnanananda. They were also helping us and organized many events to share the Dhamma with the community. And one time I remember I was giving a Dhamma talk to the Sunday school kids in the Sri Lankan temple, and I was so impressed that those little kids, they all knew 3 languages. Yeah, it's really amazing. Like not even accent. They were born in Italy, but they could speak Sinhala without accent, and they could speak Italian, of course, and then they could also speak English. That was really very important. I would say why it happened, because the parents at home would speak in Sinhala, and the children would speak in the school in Italy, and they would also invite some English teachers to teach them English. So they would speak all 3 languages. Such a wonderful way to be connected with that. So I would like to recommend that in other countries also, if there is the diaspora or the immigrants, so they need to keep their the children connected with their countries. You have to teach them the language. That's really important. Otherwise, when they go, let's say like Sri Lankan, like the families, they take their children to Sri Lanka, and they don't know the language. It's like they feel like lost identity. They are like not connected to the country. So it's important to learn the language. And they were also very curious. Many children were asking questions, and they also learned a lot of Dhamma. Um, so those are some of the things that we found very positive. And also the Italian people, whether in Amalfi Coast, whether in Trullo, or in Rome, or what was the other city? Milan. We met many friends, and they were also wonderful. I don't remember some of the cities and all, but they were really wonderful. Of course, the Tudong was an exceptional experience we had, because we had to walk in very hard, difficult trails, and also a lot of walking, and very hot and humid. And then also we had the experience to sleep in the tents in the jungle. So that was quite a special experience.
Any mosquitoes?
Yes, mosquitoes in abundance.
Oh,
Yeah, and again, picking up the theme of the Tudong. So we spoke quite a bit about the Tudong last week. Was it last week? But it's really worth emphasizing the value of this practice. So that was a period of time where we're walking from village to village, relying on alms round every day for food, not having any set sleeping place, so just sleeping wherever we could. So usually sleeping in the forest in tents. So that was a period of time where there were no formally scheduled Dhamma events of any sort, but rather our life was one continuous Dhamma event. So it's actually very public. It's a very public life. So earlier someone was asking, why is it that sometimes people decide to leave the monkhood? Why do some people decide to stop being monks? And actually, one reason why is sometimes because people, they think that being a monk means living a private life of solitude. They think that becoming a monk means that you can just disappear. But actually, it's not the case at all in Buddhism. In Buddhism, a monk life is actually a very public life. It's a life where we're constantly in view of others. One monk said it's a bit like living in a fishbowl. Like everyone's always watching you. They always see you. So with the Tudong practice, it's a practice of walking from place to place, of always being in public, always being where people can see you. And this is a really valuable practice because when people can see us, then it gets them starting to think, starting to think about Buddhism, starting to think about what it means to have monks in the world, why people would choose to live a monastic life. And it can get people start to think about how they're living their own life. Is their own life built upon spiritual principles, or is it built upon something else? And if it's built upon something else, well, how's that working? So as I mentioned towards the beginning of the talk, one of the features of modern society is a huge emphasis on materialism as a path of happiness. And that seems like a great idea in theory, but the actual result is that everyone's depressed. Everyone's depressed and hopeless and feeling lost and confused and disillusioned. So there's an increase in material wealth, but there's not an increase in happiness. So then that gets people starting to question, well, is materialism really worth it as a foundational principle for one's life? Is materialism really the right basis for one's decisions? So when you meet a Buddhist monk, you're meeting someone who has completely discarded materialism. You're meeting someone who is making, purely by the fact of their existence, they're making a very powerful statement. They're making a statement that it's possible to live a life which is not based upon materialism. It's possible to live a life which is based upon a spiritual pursuit, spiritual quest. It's possible to live a life which is a life of contentment, a life of joyfulness, a life of kindness. And it's possible to be happy with very little. So one of the really beautiful things about Tudong practice is that because you carry everything with you, then you naturally don't carry a lot of extra stuff. So I want everyone right now to just think for a moment. Think about everything you own. So all your possessions. Think about all your possessions. Imagine it all in like one big pile in front of you. Now imagine having to carry all of that on your back while walking 25 kilometers a day through blistering hot weather up and down hills. Now start thinking how much of that stuff you actually need and how much of it you can let go of. So this is what Tudong practice, one of the things that it really emphasizes is how little we actually need. And how much of what we own is just weighing us down. How much of what we own is completely unnecessary. It's kind of a running joke among forest monks that after the first 2 or 3 days of Tudong, people throw away half their stuff. But actually, in our case, that didn't happen because we all started off with cutting things down to the absolute minimum. So we actually didn't have anything to get rid of. We were already at the minimum. But often what happens is people start off thinking like, oh, well, I should bring a few extra robes, and I should bring a few extra this and a few extra that, and I should have some of this and some of that. And after two or 3 days, you realize you've been carrying around 50 pounds of junk on your back. It's like, what am I doing? But to even get to the point of doing Tudong practice in the first place, you have to have already developed the willingness to leave behind most of your things. And then that makes you ask yourself, why do I have all those things in the first place? I remember coming back to the monastery a few days ago and looking at the things I left behind and thinking like, why do I even have this stuff? Clearly I didn't need it. I just went for a month without any of it. So clearly I didn't need these things. So why is it here? What's its purpose? Is it really as important as I thought it was? And similarly, the message that this shares with the world, when somebody else sees a wandering monk and they realize that the wandering monk is actually living off just a handful of things and perfectly happy to live off a handful of things, perfectly happy to not have a home, perfectly happy to not have a reliable source of food, perfectly happy to have zero money, perfectly happy to be single, perfectly happy to have no companions, no pets. And it starts to get someone thinking about their own life, thinking about whether all that extra stuff they have is actually making them happy or if it's just weighing them down. Yeah, so we had so many lovely encounters with people who were struck by the contrast that a monk presents. So a monk is standing in stark contrast to society, to the values and aims of ordinary society. And that contrast can start to snap people out of their complacency. So one of the encounters that made a big impact on my mind was this young couple, this young married couple that met us on the road as we were walking from village to village. And they offered us some water. We chatted about Buddhism for a little while. They brought us to a field where we could pitch our tents for the night. And then we invited them to do some meditation with us. And we did some guided meditation, chanted some blessings for them. And they were so deeply touched. They were so deeply touched by the whole experience of meeting these random wandering monks just walking down the road near the town where they live. They were so deeply touched by learning a bit about the Buddha's teachings and doing a little bit of the Buddha's practices. That, well, first off, they offered us breakfast the next day, which was beautiful. But also they said that they were going to start practicing meditation every day. And they were going to start visiting the Buddhist temple. So there's a Buddhist monastery in Italy, not far from where these people live. So they made the determination they're going to meditate every day and they're going to start visiting the monastery regularly. And this is just one of countless examples of how just by living our life publicly, we can bring benefit to the world. Do you have any other comments, or do we want to start going through some of the questions?
Yeah, I think we can keep talking.
Okay.
So many experiences, yes, but maybe we can start with some questions.
Okay, so I see there's a few comments and questions, so we can go ahead and start looking at some of these. Some of these are a little off topic, so maybe better for monk chat tomorrow evening.
Yeah, I remember like when you were talking about the Tudong, it's like I felt like onions, we just peeling one after another, the layers outside, letting go, one after another. And eventually we find only a little bit that is more important, and the rest of them are not important. And also, like I remember in Dhammapada, the Buddha said, the Arahantas are like birds. So the birds will fly and they will carry nothing. They will also build a nest. They will have their kids, and even the kids will be, they will let them go, and they will let the entire nest go, everything. So it's amazing how Sapatta Bharo Pakhi Sakunu, the Arahanta person is like the bird which has the burden of the wings. So when you are light, you can walk faster. And we learned that really well in this journey. And yes, we were little concern at the beginning. How do we survive with so many little requisites that we had? But we noticed that uh, lesser our requisites, the better for us and more comfortable for our journey. Otherwise, it would have been much more difficult. And that simple lifestyle of a Buddhist monk also is really remarkable. And we didn't worry about money, we didn't worry about food, we didn't worry about accommodation, nothing. So many people are worried about these things, and we didn't have that worry. And we also would like to appreciate the two upasikas that were helping us all throughout, and they were so wonderful. They were taking care of us in many cases, and also our community of Sangha. They were also taking care of each other, and our constant walks, and also I think most importantly, meditation in between, even while walking up in the hills, and then we always had um, from time to time we had the breaks for a meditation in the jungle. It was really memorable. I think if you plan to do something like that in your life, these are some of the things that you can think of it. And also, as monks, we notice that it is always there. Like people look at us when we walk outside. People look at us, and they learn from us, and they are very curious why we are wearing a different cloth, and they are very curious about us, and then they can see how we walk, how we talk, what we do, what we eat. They notice all of them. So that also is a constant reminder to us about our own seed, our own practice. Yeah, everywhere we notice that we learned many things when people were randomly asking us so many questions on the way as well. Very helpful.
Great. So maybe we can start taking some questions. So again, I'm skipping over the ones that are not directly on topic. So if I skip over a question, then please save it and bring it to Monk Chat tomorrow evening. So let's see. Shadow of Label asks, did you have Italian spaghetti or see Mario? So Mario is actually a very common name in Italy. So we did in fact meet at least one person named Mario. So it's a relatively common name. It comes from the Latin name Marius. There were some very famous people from the time of the Roman Empire with that name. So it's still a relatively common name. As for spaghetti, no, we did not have spaghetti once the entire time. In fact, we only had pasta of any sort. We only had pasta once or twice. And this is because we only eat in the morning. And usually Italians will have pasta in the afternoon and in the evening, but they won't have it in the morning. So we had lots of other things. We had lots of bread. We had a fair amount of pizza, especially on Tudong. People kept giving us pizza, which I wasn't complaining about. It was a good fuel for the road. Lots of bread, lots of pizza, lots of fruit. What else did people give us?
Yeah, I remember one time we were really walking so tired, and then we had to climb up the mountain to reach the city. And then we were so tired. By the time we went there, like people were like gazing at us, and there was a bunch of people looking at us, and they immediately saw us, and they offered us some snacks, right? Even before starting our Pindapata, they were just random people. And like within minutes, the entire city comes to know that we are there. So they were so bonding people, and they were really very friendly. And I remember that very well that day.
That was when
When we were,
they invited us into the cafe and
yes,
gave
yes, they
the
offered
croissants and coffee.
some coffee and something. And before, because we were so tired, after that only we went for Pindapata in the same city.
Let's see. What else? So again, some of these questions are off topic, so please bring them tomorrow. But here's one. Jay Kala asks, how did you tend to explain Buddhism to people unfamiliar? What concepts did you bring up or not focus on?
I think it's like we allowed people to ask questions. We allowed them to open up, and then depending on their level of understanding, we explain. And also, we sometimes we also talked about a simple topic like loving kindness or Buddhism in a nutshell, and then we also conducted some guided meditations, and we allowed them. The Q&A was very, very refreshing, and lots of people were very, very good in asking questions, right? That shows their enthusiasm to learn Buddhism. I noticed that everywhere. We were never in short of questions.
Yeah, and so also another thing is focusing on practical things. So practical application of the Dhamma. So there's a lovely Italian expression, speak like you eat. In other words, the point is to say things which are of immediate relevance. So similarly, I mean, when we're just monks discussing things with each other, we might go into refined points of subtly different interpretations of doctrinal issues, but that's kind of not really relevant to most people. It's something which we like to do among ourselves, but when dealing with people who are new to Buddhism, it's not really worth going into like refined points of Abhidhamma philosophy or different interpretations of Paticca Samuppada. These are fun things to debate among monks and advanced practitioners, but it's not really relevant to people who are on a more beginner level. But instead emphasizing things of immediate practical application, things that people can start applying to their lives right away, because that's how you develop faith in the Buddha, is through learning practical Dhamma and applying it to your life and seeing the benefits that comes from it. Then after a while, someone can get interested in learning the deeper side of things. But in the beginning, it's useful to focus on things of immediate practical application. And Kristen says, I should have asked for a photo with you and Ayasoma when I met you many years ago. Well, you'll just have to come and meet us again, and then you can get some photos with us. And Sud says, did you have trouble with the language? How did you manage communication in Italian as you were traveling? Well, I actually speak a little bit of Italian, and I'm working on learning it. Bhante Sumitta also started learning Italian. So in a few months, this might be less of an issue. So again, I can speak a little bit of Italian, enough to like basic survival things. But for the most part, if people knew English, then we would speak in English. If they didn't know English, which is actually most people in Italy don't speak English. Only something like 20% of Italians speak English, and it's mostly younger people. So for much of it, we were relying on Ayasoma. So Ayasoma had a lot of talking because she was giving Dhamma talks, organizing and arranging the transportation from place to place, and also translating for the rest of us. So she was doing a lot. It was really impressive.
I also remember like Bhante Suddhaso was speaking a little bit, few words at the beginning, and later on at the end, I saw like he was talking for longer discussion. Like, yeah, he has improved so much. And I also noticed that he was learning in between as well. So that's really a plus point. I'm sure we all were um, wanted to learn Italian if we want to go there and talk to people.
Yeah, I mean, just as a general rule, in my opinion, if you're going to spend any amount of time in a country, then it's respectful to try to learn at least some of the language there. So if you're going to stay in a place for longer than a week, then yeah, learn some of the language, at least a few words. And Shadow Label asks, did you get to see Pompeii or any volcanoes? Did you go with the group when the Thai monks went to Pompeii?
I didn't go, but
Okay.
the others went.
Yeah, I didn't go either, but we were with a group of 3 Thai monks, and they went to see Pompeii one day. But I didn't go. And other volcanoes, the only other volcano I know is Mount Etna in Sicily, but we didn't go there. Again, we weren't there as tourists, so this is a very important point to make, because sometimes people get a little confused, like, why are the monks going on vacation to Italy? And the answer is we weren't on vacation. So there actually wasn't much time for things like going to see Pompeii or wandering around Rome or any of the usual touristy things. There just wasn't much time for it. That wasn't why we were there. So we were there to share the Dhamma. And 95% of our time, that's what we were doing. We were sharing Dhamma in one way or another. So we actually had extremely little time to do any sightseeing of any sort. So no, we didn't, at least the 2 of us didn't go to Pompeii, and we actually did almost 0 sightseeing the whole time. Anonymous asks, did you spray yourselves with mosquito repellent or just endure it? I personally did not use insect repellent the whole time.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
We were just donating blood sometimes.
Also, most of the time there weren't that many mosquitoes.
Yeah.
It really wasn't that bad.
Yeah. It wasn't that bad, like only few occasions I remember.
And here's another question. Kristen asks, which requisite did you find the most useful? Well, the robe, of course, because we use it all the time. This is actually the most critical piece of a monk's gear is our robe. The second most useful is the alms bowl, because the alms bowl is how we get food every day. It really is a big difference. So if you're just in town without your bowl out, then sometimes people will spontaneously give you food, but not often. But as soon as you get the alms bowl out, then usually within a matter of minutes, people would come up and start offering us food. So the alms bowl has this really magical effect where people get the sense that we need something. They don't necessarily understand right away that we need food, but the bowl is a clear message that we need something. So it's an invitation for people to come and ask us what we're doing and how they can help. So yeah, number 1 most important thing is the robe. So the robe not only protects our body, but it also clearly identifies us as a monk. And second is the bowl, because the bowl is how we get food every day. So it's very important. As for me, number 3 would probably be my tent. I really liked my tent.
That's the Senasana.
Yeah, Senasana. Yeah, the dwelling place. So the Buddha says that for a dwelling place, you can, as a monk, you can rely on sleeping under a tree.
2 pound Senasana.
Yeah. So we had tents, which is a little extra protection than just sleeping under a tree. As Bhante Sumitta mentioned, they're very lightweight tents, so only 2 pounds. And you barely feel it. Oh, and allergy medicine. That was helpful. So actually, there's all 4 requisites.
Mm-hmm.
So robe, bowl, tent, and allergy pills.
Medicine.
Yeah, those were the 4 things that I very much appreciated every day. Bhante?
Yeah, I think so. We didn't want anything else. Like we just needed those little things. Yeah, sometimes in the after the lunch we would go to a park. We would sleep there under a tree, and also still people keep coming and talking to us sometimes. And yeah, I think we didn't have so many, but whenever we go to people, they were always ready to help us.
Mm.
I remember like people were ready to drive us when we were walking, and they were offering us water, they were offering us foods, many things, and they were always there for to help us. They somehow noticed that these Buddhist monks are really worthy of hospitality, worthy of donation, uh, worthy of respect.
Mm.
They notice that.
And Jay Kala asks, did you find the Tudong beneficial for your meditation, or was it a challenge?
I would say both.
Mm.
Yeah, I think it was good for meditation. In fact, because in the night, for example, in the jungle, if you have never been to a place like that, in the middle of the jungle, the first day I remember, like Bhante Mittananda said, there were like wild boars around. And we didn't have any human contact, so it was really challenging. And then yeah, but also good, really good in the nature, beautiful nature, so much lush green um, um, woods. And yeah, it was really nice, but I think sometimes sleeping inside the tent with very little preparation, because in the morning we noticed that it is getting cold. But again, we had the rope only, the two rope. That's how we had to survive. And so some of the times we actually practiced. I remember we were chanting before entering the tent, and then we were meditating inside the tent. And yeah, those are some of the things I think very helpful.
Yeah, and similarly, as Bhante Sumitta was saying, it was both beneficial and also challenging. And in fact, the challenge is part of what made it beneficial. One of the really noticeable effects is the rapid increase in equanimity. Because during the Tudong, one is dealing with so much discomfort constantly that you really have no choice except to find peace. You can't change your conditions, but you can change your state of mind. So this was something I noticed really strongly, this huge increase in equanimity over the course of a few days. For meditation practice in particular, actually what I found was really good was the early morning meditation. And one of the reasons for this is because, so we'd be walking all day and not eating that much, so only eating once a day. And then finally getting to rest at about usually 8 p.m. or so. So 8 in the evening, we would pitch our tents and get some rest. But it's really not that comfortable. It's really not very comfortable sleeping conditions. So sleeping on these thin inflatable mattresses, it starts getting really cold in the middle of the night, and it's really not that comfortable. And so naturally you wake up very early. So I would wake up at like 3:30, 4 in the morning, and sit up, wrap all my robes and things around me, and do a couple hours of sitting meditation. And I remember actually it was really pleasant. So like during this long block of sitting meditation in the early morning, huddled in my freezing cold tent, wrapped in all my robes, and just sitting still for 2 hours and just focusing the mind. It was actually surprisingly good samadhi. So that was something which really struck me. And then the walking itself. So again, walking many hours a day. It's a practice of walking meditation, as I was talking about this morning. So that also is very supportive to one's meditation. The Buddha himself said that the samadhi which comes from walking meditation is long lasting. It's very effective. So yeah, it was definitely beneficial, and I'll certainly be doing it again. And Sud asks, did you find any fundamentalists who may not have reacted positively to your stay? Actually, the vast majority of Italians are very open-minded. So most Italians identify as Catholic, but they're not fundamentalists. They're actually very open-minded and welcoming and friendly towards people of any spiritual tradition, of any religion.
Including the Catholic priests.
Yeah.
They were very open, very
Yeah.
helpful. I remember in St. Benedict church, when we were meditating inside the church, and the father, he was looking at us through the camera. And after that, he talked to us and he called us to his office. He gave us some candy. He took a photo with us, and yeah, he gave us some fruits also, right?
Yeah, he gave us a bag of
So
fruit.
nice, yeah. And that was the highest mountain we climbed, actually. Very tired, but Saint Benedicto was a beautiful monastery to visit. I felt like I entered a Buddhist temple. So wonderful. That positive energy was there in so many Catholic churches when we entered.
Yeah, actually, one of the very few times, at one point we were walking through Milan, and someone, presumably a fundamentalist of some sort, yelled a not very nice thing at us. But Ayasoma was like, actually, that person wasn't Italian. So based on their accent, she was like, that person they're not from Italy. They're visiting from some other country. We never had any problems with the Italians. So whether they're Catholic or, I mean, they're almost all Catholic of some sort. We didn't have any problems with them. Almost all of them were just really happy to see us. So we didn't have any trouble. Vivian says, would you do this again in another country? We go where we are invited. So one of the reasons why we went to Italy is because there's been an avalanche of invitations. So people all over the country keep inviting Buddhist monks to come and teach. And especially Ayasoma, because she's Italian. So she gets this endless stream of invitations to teach Dhamma in Italy, which is great because she's a great Dhamma teacher, and she's a native Italian speaker, so it's perfect. But other countries, again, we go where we're invited. So if we get invitations, and invitation also usually means that someone is willing to help us get there and make sure that we have what we need while we're there. So yeah, if people invite us to share Dhamma in another country, then personally, I'll make the effort. Yeah, Bhante.
Yeah, of course. What is the last time we went to Communita Caris?
Communita Caris,
Caris,
like
right?
that.
Yeah. That was a spiritual commune, and they were also very wonderful people. And they were like family members. They even came to the railway station, and they were still there until we were boarding. And I remember when we were walking with them, so to someone we said, Venezuela something like good evening. and then he was actually picking the fruits, and he offered some fruits to us.
Oh, yes, yes.
That was heartwarming too that time.
Yeah, that was beautiful. Yeah, he actually like pulled the fruit right off of his tree and gave it to us. That was beautiful. Jay Kala says, did anyone invite you to eat at their home? Yes, actually we had one house Dana, so one Italian family invited us to lunch at his house. So that was lovely. So it was a lovely blend of Buddhist culture and Italian culture. And actually Ayasoma afterwards, she made the comment that we just got a little preview of what Italian Buddhism is going to be like. Because there was this big round table and we had all these monks. So in total did we have Bhante Sumitta with us? No. So we had in total 6 monks and the 2 upasikas and then the Italian family, and we're all seated around this big round table, all sharing this huge feast that they had prepared. So it was this really beautiful sense of everyone like coming together around a round table and just sharing food together in this really, really beautiful sense of family, of community. So that was very touching. There were other times when people, like just random people we met, would invite us, but usually, again, Italians usually eat in the afternoon and the evening. So that's when we don't eat as Buddhist monks. So usually people would just give us some things in the morning, like get some things from the sandwich shop or the store and give us food that we would then eat on our own. But this one meal invitation, it was a very devout Italian Buddhist man who, he really wanted to bring the whole Sangha to his home for lunch. So he made the effort to do things early in the morning instead of waiting until the afternoon. Shadow of Label asks, did you guys need sunscreen? I certainly did. Especially the first few days, I burned very easily without sunscreen.
Yeah, I think sunscreen was not enough.
Yeah, especially in Amalfi, the sun was very intense.
Very intense, yes.
Yeah. And Kumu says, are you allowed to take a blanket or only the 3 robes in Tudong? You can actually take whatever you want. You just have to accept that you're going to be carrying all that stuff on your back for hours and hours and hours every day. So I did personally bring a very small, thin shawl, but I didn't bring an actual full blanket because one of our monk robes is a double thickness robe called the Sangati. So it's an extra thick robe, which is precisely for the purpose of keeping you warm on cold nights. And these days, many monks, their sangatis are actually made extremely thin, which kind of defeats the purpose. But I've personally always preferred thick sangatis because thick sangatis will actually give you some warmth. And that's the last of the questions. Any questions from the monastery residents? No? Okay. Shall we go ahead and wrap up for the evening? So thank you all for joining in, and please join us again tomorrow. So tomorrow morning we'll have Sutta study with Bhante Sumitta, and tomorrow evening we'll have monk chat. So all of you who asked questions, which I skipped over, you can save your questions and bring them to monk chat tomorrow evening, and we'll answer them then. So we can end at this time with 3 sadhus. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And we'll see you next time.